On the advice of counsel, I'm not going to answer that question, sir.
Asserting any privilege.
Privilege against self-incrimination.
And did you knowingly break any laws when investigating President Trump?
Objection.
Same response.
Did you break any laws when you worked at the Manhattan District Attorney's Office?
Objection.
Same response.
Ms. Pomerantz, did you violate any person's constitutional rights when you worked on the Trump investigation?
Objection.
I have the same response to your question.
Mr. Pomerantz, did you violate any person's constitutional rights while you worked at the Manhattan DA's office?
Objection.
Same answer.
Did you misuse any federal funds while investigating President Trump?
Same response.
Did you misuse any federal funds while you were working in the Manhattan District Attorney's Office?
Same response.
And did you violate any New York State bar rules while you were investigating President Trump?
Objection.
Same response.
Did you violate any New York State bar rules while you were working in the Manhattan District Attorney's Office?
Objection.
Same response.
And did you violate any canons of legal ethics when you were investigating President Trump?
Objection.
Same response.
Did you ever violate any canons of legal ethics while you worked at the Manhattan District Attorney's Office?
Objection.
The same response.
Okay, welcome. It is Thursday, 2 May, year of the Lord 2024. Right there, this is a taped under oath deposition of Mark Pomerantz. He was the lawyer, the prosecutor signed by Cy Vance Jr., I think it was, and then even even Bragg to look into the charges, the show trial charges that Trump's up for right now. And that's him taking the Fifth Amendment against self-incrimination for crimes. And Matt Gaetz is sitting there hammering him with one specific after the other. Did you commit crimes? So this is twofold. We're going to have more of this throughout this hour because this shows you twofold. Number one, the massive election interference that's going on. They can't beat Trump any other way. Right now, MAGA is more ascendant than we've ever been. And they understand that. As I say, 2/3 of the nation to 75% of the country are not Republicans or Democrats. They're MAGA. You just have to get the word out to people. You have to get the information out. That's where we try to turn people into force multipliers. Because once they get the information, it's like a great awakening. You saw that this morning on the show. Went through these 3 congressional candidates. In the old days, they wouldn't even be possible for them to mount a candidacy. And all those people are in very tight races against well-financed incumbents. Why is that? Social media and streaming services and news services like Real America's Voice and War Room. But that means they can get they can get the voting records out. You can look at the information. You understand what these people do when they're back in the district versus what they do on Capitol Hill. And there's a huge difference, and people see that, and people are fed up with it. So number one, you see in all of its glory exactly what this all is, which is a criminal enterprise, a criminal conspiracy. Right there, the guy took the Fifth Amendment. This is not some grundoon. Pomerantz would be the guy arguing the case. But as he said in his book, he put a book out, there was no case. He gave it up, and he hates Trump. He hates Trump to the core of his being. There's no case. That's why on the criminal conspiracy, they sent Matthew Colangelo, which our own Mike Davis exposed over a year ago, who was seconded by the Justice Department because he was the number 3 guy there, and he was the architect. Here's how we got to do it. He gave the opening argument. And so, ladies and gentlemen of the War Room Posse and this vast audience, it's just a very simple question. And it goes to governance, and it goes to the consent of the government. It's going, what are we doing here? What is this all about? And all this, oh, you can't do Mike Johnson, more chaos, more anarchy. Okay, quite simply. He did 2 things. He funded the DOJ and FBI, understanding all this information out there. And let me categorically go through the information. Number one, the 300-page Jordan report, which much of it came off of these taped depositions, not all of it. 300 pages report. Was it issued on the eve of it was completed? They said, well, it's still interim. Yeah, they were changing some commas and doing some cosmetics. But it was done. And a lot of it's off of these taped depositions. That was done. Why was it not released on the eve of the election? Information Warfare 101. When they have all the high ground, we have to use what we got. We have a report from the Judiciary Committee about the persecution of President Trump. Why is that not released on the eve of either the first day that they're going to do jury selection or the first day they're going to argue a case? Because you set the narrative framework. You have to have a narrative framework. There was no narrative framework. Boom. This sets it. It's a criminal persecution of Trump laid out. Number two, you had all these taped depositions, and there's many more. They're going to be released over the next days. These taped depositions are all available to Mike Johnson and his staff. Elise Stefanik puts out an incredible formal complaint to DOJ about all this. And Matthew Colangelo, incredibly detailed, like her staff is watching War Room, Mike Davis. Then Jordan comes back and puts another letter out on another part of the investigation he's doing over to Justice. You then have great Julie Kelly, a civilian, but she's done more. She's a one-man investigative committee. She's taken the unredacted, and Judge Cannon is pleading with you. She's putting her professional career on the line. They're crucifying her every night on MSNBC. Cannon, it's a quiet scream for help. Where's the cavalry? She puts it out. Julie Kelly's got it. It's there. It's category. It's out. It can't be refuted. The FBI and the DOJ work to entrap him. Now I've got Mike Flynn this morning on the show. 8 subpoenas from Mike Flynn overnight. 8 subpoenas. 8 subpoenas. Let me repeat that. 8 subpoenas. You've got a woman who's up 208 votes out of millions and millions and millions of gas. 208 votes. That is dropping for 17 people, 11, I think 18 people, 11 electors, average citizens, cost them millions of dollars, years in prison. And of course, Tyler Boyer and Boris Epstein and others. And the Associated Press reports last night that it is to send a warning shot at how they're going to limit discussion about stolen elections in 2024. From Michigan to Georgia, Funny Willis, all of it, a vast criminal conspiracy. And what do we have? We have nothing. We have bits and pieces, quite frankly, that are coming because the War Room's got them on the tip of the bayonet. Move along. And they're telling us this is being suppressed. This is being suppressed. So when you call your congressman, it's just not the southern border. It's being on offense and doing your job. Mike Johnson is working with Democrats. Why do you think the Democrats have his back? Because he's providing no support to President Trump. His staff, let me repeat this, has suppressed this information. Why? Because the Uniparty does not want Trump to return. And right now, it's clear as day what they're doing. All their money is pouring into the Senate races, into the House races, Singer and all these guys. And here's their theory of the case. Number one, they're going to pick up a couple of seats in the Senate and control the Senate. Number two, they're going to hold what they got in the House and maybe pick up a seat or two. Tough fights, could lose a couple, but think net they'll pick up a couple. So they'll hold the House. They have the House and the Senate. They've made more. The top 1%, the top 5% made more money under Biden than they made under Obama, which is the other greatest transfer of wealth. Since they talked about the interest rates in early December, they made more money in the stock market. They're loving this. There are many things about Biden they don't like. Some about Biden they hate. But they think by holding the House and the Senate, they can control that. But what they do is they take out not simply Trump, but they think they take out MAGA. Because they understand if Trump wins and goes to the White House, not only is it the greatest political comeback in the history of mankind, not simply this republic, but it empowers a rising political force in this country, which is MAGA, which President Trump's the head of this movement. So you tell me how the uniparty billionaires that call themselves Republicans, because remember, that's a label that's irrelevant now. You're either a populist nationalist or you're a globalist that believes in globalist elites. That's it. Everything else is just conversation. So you tell me what they want to do. pretty obvious what they are doing. This is why President Trump, they're having some dinners and they're raising money. He gets $40 million. That's tip money for these people. That's chump change. Chump change. They'll throw something in the collection, the second collection. They got it. They're going to cover their bases, but it's not where the center of gravity is for them. Remember, the deposition you just heard, it's been around, I think, since January. Right? The 300-page report's been around for a couple of 3 weeks. It's around for a couple of 3 weeks before the Trump trial. Why would you, John Santander said, why would you not release that on the eve of the trial? Why do we now release this 2-3 weeks into the trial? Why do you not release that? Why is the entire thing, Pomerantz's deposition and the report should have come out on the eve of the trial? Hey, guess what? Then we have what's called the predicate. They all know this. It's not done. So if you're a congressman, and people, I get it from Grace and Mo all the time, people in the chat are confused. We're not turning it over to the Democrats because Democrats already control it. They've already said they're going to kill the motion to vacate on the floor, not even let it come to a vote. Is that any confusion? He's a Democrat. He's controlled by the Democrats. This is the problem in the country. These problems, these crises just didn't come out of nowhere. They've been building. And why have they been building? All the work you've been doing to the party you thought had your interests in mind, had your back. No, they were controlled opposition. It's like the people running for Congress today. They would go back to the district and say one thing and go to the Hill and vote another. Now we have, whether it's Bill Blast or all these other sites, you can see their voting record and you can have direct communication with them and hold them accountable. We're winning this fight. The only thing we got to remember is we only lose when we stop. And we must remain constantly on offense. There's one thing I did in coming into the Trump campaign in mid-August of 16 is go on offense. Go on offense. Stop taking incoming. Go on offense. President Trump is best on offense. MAGA's best on offense. Go on offense. And don't give me some little snarling thing. And please don't give me the talking points on Roe v. Fox. It's chaos. You're going to throw it to... You're not going to put it to Hakeem Jeffries. You're going to take power away from Hakeem Jeffries. What more power could we grant him? Stop listening to the talking points of Karl Rove and Newt Gingrich and that whole crowd over Murdoch is what got us in this situation. And every time we stand up and say we're fed up with it, we're not going to take it anymore. Every time you have Trump's back, boom. And people say, well, Trump says he's doing 100%. Look, President Trump's got enough on his plate right now, okay? Have you noticed the gag orders? Have you noticed that the 720 years in prison, the 91 charges, the taking away his business? He's got, and going out and running for the presidency when they've gagged him. And you understand? His day off, quote unquote, he's in Wisconsin and Michigan. Biden couldn't do that in a gazillion years. He's doing 2 huge rallies, and then every couple of days in New York, he's going down and doing another bodega run or going to a construction site. He's constantly, and you look at those true socials, the one they want to gag him for. Hey, they're not coming out at 9 o'clock at night. President Trump's got enough on his plate, and quite frankly, to be brutally frank, the people around him have positioned this in a way that he feels Johnson's doing a good job. I don't believe he personally thinks that, but that's the official party line. But guess what? I don't care. It's irrelevant to me. That is totally and completely irrelevant, 100%. What's relevant is that you're either with the uniparty or you're not. So if you got a problem with it, you're free men and women. I respect that. I appreciate that and do that. But we're not going to do it, and I'm not going to do it. And I'm going to hound Johnson. Last night, Franklin Graham, I don't think there's a family in this country. I was thinking about this when I was putting up this nasty post on Getter, and it was a nasty post. My dear father was alive. He'd be chewing me out. He thought so highly of the Graham family, Billy Graham and Franklin Graham. And Franklin Graham came out and said something about MTG. She seemed like a patriot, but she was dead wrong. And Mike Johnson's a Christian man, and Mike Johnson reads the Bible, and Mike Johnson this, and Mike Johnson this. And I just went back to him and said, Reverend Franklin Graham, The neo-Marxist Democrats that Hakeem Jeffries represents and is part of are loving this, and they detested your father, everything he believed in, everything he worked for, and that's what they detested today, and they're destroying it. And guess what? Mike Johnson's their lackey. He's their hired hand, and he's got to go, with all due respect. And Marjorie Taylor Greene is a fighter, and please hold her beer. So I'll play some more of the Matt Gaetz, but this is obvious. You just ask when you see that, hey, when did we get that? Oh, back in January. Is that when we got that? We've had that for a couple months. Why are we just seeing it now? Why wasn't it tied to the 300-page report and put out? Why Stefanik's thing not come at the same time? Why did the other letter from Jordan, Julie Kelly, just got released? That could be added onto it, but you could have set the narrative for the trial right there. CNN and those guys would have had to address it because it's an official action. Remember, to adjudicate things, you need platforms, you need official actions. Now we have the war room's known this for a while. We've pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed to get it out there. And Jordan's committee's not complaining. They'll tell you right now, they've been trying to get it out too. And Jim Jordan could do a lot more powerful, good work if he was not constrained. And where is he constrained by? Leadership. And what is leadership? It's Kevin McCarthy's staff with Polly Pockets Johnson in the middle. And that's what you got. And people say, well, who, him next? I don't know. You know, it's a process. We'll figure it out. And you say, well, you didn't figure it last time with Johnson. Hey, it's all part of a process. It's all part of a process. Read the Old Testament, read the New Testament. Eventually people will stand up. They will. They'll step up. It's a process. Trust the process. He's got to go. And we are not going to back off it 1 centimeter. One of my favorite people, American Freedom Alliance's Karen Siegemund, the head of it, got a great, I want everybody to know about this, particularly in the Atlanta and Georgia area, but everybody's, I think, going to be able to dial into it, and I want even more people in the region to attend this because it's quite unique. What do you got going for us, ma'am?
Oh, Steve, thanks so much. We are absolutely thrilled to be bringing this conference to the Atlanta area. If you remember last year, we had an event in LA. It was a 2-day, unbelievably powerful conference, World War III, the early years. And what we really wanted to do, since it was so powerful and so successful, was take it on the road, and in particular, take it to swing states where people really need to see and engage and learn about the extent to which we are being undermined in every way. And we reframed it from World War III to World War Xi to indicate the extent to which China, Xi Jinping and the Chinese Communist Party are really either behind everything that we're seeing or fomenting it or taking advantage of it, instigating it, funding it, or in some way benefiting from all the chaos that we're seeing. And we've assembled, again, another smaller cadre of A-team people, experts, activists on the subject of China, almost all of whom I believe are members of the Committee on the Present Danger China, starting, of course, with Frank Gaffney. We also have Sam Faddis, who we didn't have before, but we're very excited. We have Connie Elliott. We have Brian Kennedy, chair of the Committee on the Present Danger China, and some others. And of course, you are going to be keynote speaking from via Skype. Atlanta it's challenging with your schedule, but we're thrilled that you will be joining us via Skype. Absolutely,
I'll be giving a fire breather keynote, so people want to join in for that. Real quick question: you did World War III, the early years last year. It was amazing. Yeah. The people you have, the crew you have here is incredible. Do you believe you're Los Angelian? Do you believe you're seeing right now on the campus of UCLA the early kinetic part of the Third World War visited to the United States?
I don't know about early kinetic, but certainly kinetic, and it is absolutely stunning. You had some footage earlier this morning about the war zones that literally, I mean, they're war zones. You hear it, you see it. I'm sure you can smell it. This is war going on our campuses, and to see this in my hometown, it's breathtaking in Los Angeles. And by the way, if I could just add, this notion of this anti-Semitism bill is absolutely not the path to go down, breaking into our First Amendment protections of free speech. What we need to do is get Qatari money and Chinese money out of our universities, and you solve most of the problem. We are so beholden to those who give us in the billions of dollars. Look at this. This is a college campus, a university campus, a taxpayer-funded campus here in Los Angeles. And how did it get to this? It should never have gotten to this, ever, not ever. And it is, and it's running rampant. And as you point out, it really is. It's war. It's kinetic. It's breathtaking, and I think it's going to break away from the bounds of the campuses. It's going to go beyond. And you just mentioned about chaos. If we do this, there's going to be chaos. Hello, they have been fomenting chaos and violence. And how do you compare this to anything that our side has ever done? No, this is much more reminiscent of 2020, far worse, in fact. And it's students. We know who's funding them. This is war on the American people. It's not just war against Israel. It's not just anti-Semitism. It is support for terrorists, literal terrorists.
Oh no!
On our college campuses.
This is against the United States of America, and it's against the American flag. All of it. It's here. It's here, and it couldn't be more blatant. Karen, one more time. Just give me the punch list. Give me your top 5, 6 people. I want everybody to go. I want to know how they get tickets for it, whether it's going to be live streamed for people that can't get to Atlanta. What time is it? Where is it? All of it. Give us the deets. It's
at the Hyatt Regency Via Christina in Atlanta. We've got Frank Gaffney, Connie Elliott, Sam Faddis, Brian Kennedy. I can't believe I left out Trevor before. We have Trevor Loudon, absolutely astounding. Frank is going to be opening. You will be closing. We've got some others that we're talking to still. It's always a work in progress. You can go to our website, AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. There's a QR code at the bottom of that flyer to get tickets. Registration's at 9. The conference begins at 10, goes till 5. There's going to be a reception afterwards. It includes lunch. We're charging a very minimal $50. We're really wanting the place to be filled. The information is so important. We're delighted to be bringing it to Atlanta. We've been clamoring for it. This is our first. We're taking the whole thing on tour. We're then going to North Carolina, Arizona, Wisconsin, and then hopefully other places as well. What we did in LA was incredible, and we're really delighted and honored to be able to bring it to other people across the country. And thank you, Steve, for all of your support. I know it's going to be a heck of a your keynote speech always leaves people just completely pumped up and excited to take action.
Well, here's the reason I'm so excited. We talked about this concept a couple of years ago. You did it last year. It was so prescient. World War III is here. Yeah. You talked about the early years of what that war would look at. And if you look at what's happening in College today, total called shot from last year's conference. And now you've got people and Trevor Loudon is such a great voice to get there. This guy has been in the wilderness for years, telling exactly what is going to the college campus, the red-green alliance between the Marxist progressive left and the Sharia supremacists who are taking on the Judeo-Christian West, are taking on the West, are taking on particularly the United States. Israel just happens to be in the way. That's a morsel they want to roll up. And anti-Semitic laws are not going to, or the ridiculous, are not going to do anything. You got to get to the heart of the problem. And the heart of the problem, you have Qatari money, you have CCP money, and you also still have a lot of progressive left still underwriting the checks here. You get that money out, right? And you turn the progressive left, particularly some of the Jewish community, on offense about what's going on. And that's what's so powerful about UCLA. You see people fighting back, and people are going to have to fight back. If you don't fight back, it's just something like Germany in the 30s. And that's why I'm so proud of what's happening in UCLA. You have people trading punches. And sometimes you have to get to that, right? Sometimes you have to get to that, and they're given as good as they're getting, and that's one way you slow this thing down. Karen, I got to bounce one more time. How do they get to American Freedom Alliance? How do they get to this? How do they get to you on social media?
AmericanFreedomAlliance.org, our website, and we're on Getter, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all over the place. The flyer's up, the link is up. Just make sure you tell your friends in the Atlanta area that this is going to be incredibly powerful. It's so important. And the notion of war and the notion of national security takes on an entirely different face when what you've thought is unrestricted warfare. Everything that we're seeing is in some way a piece of this war on us, on America, on Americans, and as you say, on Judeo-Christian West.
And amazing way to network. Karen Siegemund, thank you so much. Love the American Freedom Alliance. Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks so much, Steve.
It's a fourth turning. Fourth turnings mean turbulence. You didn't ask for this. You didn't work for this. It's just the cycle of history. Right now, you got to take care of yourself, your family, your community, yourself. One way to do that is understand capital markets, understand finance. One way we help you is with Birch Gold, birchgold.com/Bannon. Make sure you go check it out today. The fifth free installment, central bank digital currency. The fourth free installment is Nixon taking us off the gold standard. They're all free. They're all available. And you can talk to Philip Patrick and the team. Back in a moment. All this nonsense, all this spin, they can't handle the truth.
War Room Battleground with Stephen K. Bannon.
How long have you known Alvin Bragg?
Same answer.
Fifth Amendment.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you respect Alvin Bragg?
Same answer.
Frequently did you go to the office when you were a special district attorney? Did you have an office physically at that address?
The office is located in several buildings around One Hogan Place. It's not all in one contiguous space of offices.
These are clips.
Several office premises.
And this is kind of process for our radio and audience. They're talking about this with Alvin Bragg. The judiciary, of course, released the deposition this afternoon. My question gets to be: you had this. Why was this not released on the eve of the trial? And you're going to get a lot of excuses. You're going to get a lot of this. Look, Mike Johnson's got to go. You're not on offense. You've allowed the southern border to remain open. You've given Hakeem Jeffries. The Democrats are going to show you next week they fully support him. He's their guy. He's Biden's guy. How could all this, if we hadn't raised holy hell, if War Room hadn't gone off the chain, and it shouldn't be we got enough to do. We got more than enough to do. I can only get on here 10% of the people we should have on, 10% of the stories we should be following. Of the books and the movies and access to people, cultural people, we can do very little of that. Why? Because, a third of our time is putting a bayonet to somebody's back. Why is it not getting done? I'm not whining. I'm just giving you a statement of fact. Now, all of a sudden, the Judiciary Committee's got this all out, and it's powerful. You're sitting there kind of gobsmacked with, how could this been under wraps? And we had a tape. Yeah, I don't want to hear that. the 300-page report, everything that's happened over the last 48 hours, 72 hours. It's powerful. You add Julie Kelly, you add Tom Fenton, you add Mike Davis, he's independent. These are small shops. Fenton's gotten big over the last couple of years because of his work. But these are small places. And now they've got more information. This is a vast criminal conspiracy against Trump and MAGA. And the reason it wasn't out is because the big donors don't want Johnson on top of this. They want, let me repeat this. They want to take the Senate, they want to take the House, and they want Trump to go away. They figure they can handle it. They feel to them and their class that they can handle Biden with less downside to themselves than MAGA and Trump. Because once Trump wins, it over. Permanent MAGA. And they're not going to give up their party that easily. Larry Schweikart, Dr. Schweikart, you've been fighting this forever. It's really part of this great book you've got on globalization, its rise and its decline. But you've been at the heart of this fight. In fact, I met you in the 2016 campaign on this fight. They're relentless, are they not? I mean, they I just want the audience to know in this whole process, this uniparty, because right now you're the populist nationalist or elite globalist. That's politics in America today. That's the spectrum you can see it on. Republicans and Democrats, the labels mean nothing. They are not going to give up their power. Just in the Republican Party, forget power and control of the country. They're not going to give their power to the Republican Party easily, are they, sir?
Oh, no. Yeah, you're right. It's a constant battle, a constant fight with these people. They never say, OK, you won fair and square. We're going to go home. That doesn't happen. But there's two things happening simultaneously is A, they're not going to stop, but B, they aren't omnipotent. And I think right now, probably one of the biggest things happening in the country is that they're playing whack-a-mole with Biden's policies, which are so incredibly ridiculous and bad on every single level. They can't put out the fires fast enough. And the latest campus chaos is just one more example. They had this plan in November of 2023, right after the Hamas murder attacks. They planned this stuff. They did not expect it would backfire on them the way it is. And to prove my point, there are two articles today, one from Axios, one from Politico. These are both mainstream Democrat outlets going, this is very dangerous for Democrats. Democrats are going to have a problem with this. They need to stop this somehow. They can't. They're trapped by this civil war between Hamas and Israel and the Jews. So, no, we got to keep after them. And let's keep pushing them into these mistakes.
You've been associated with colleges virtually all your professional career. This is this merger of the Marxist left and the Sharia supremacists. I keep saying the problem's not the kids or even the agitators. As big a problem that is, that's a symptom of the problem. To me, the rot goes all the way back to the faculty senate, the mindset of these departments, the mindset of academia and the administrators. They believe in oppress and oppressor. They believe that the Judeo-Christian West is not to be cherished and valued. They believe that we're a corrupt, racist, xenophobic, nativist, white supremacist society, and that's where the central beating heart of this problem is, sir.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and that's why they can't fix it. That's why they are trapped now with this problem. I wrote a piece on Substack last week called New Wine in Old Skins. And basically, if you look at what Jerry Rubin and Abby Hoffman were saying, this is exactly what these demonstrators are trying to pull. They don't have demands. There is nothing you can possibly do to satisfy them short of the entire extermination of the state of Israel, which is their real goal if you push them. So they want to avoid, of course, talking about all that. But there, Steve, there's some really good news on the horizon. In my last chapter of Patriots History of Globalism, which I talk about the hope that's out there, just yesterday we had two amazing signs. You might want to talk to Neil Oliver about this when he's on. Two amazing signs out of England. One was that the National Institute of Health adopted the position of the Cass report on transism, and said basically biological sex is real. There is a male and there is a female. That's astounding for the government to say. And the other thing that happened yesterday was England started rounding up illegal criminal aliens and shipping them back to Africa. It's hard to think that that England would be leading the way on some of this, but as I said in the final chapter of the book, they are on their heels, and we need to fix bayonets and charge.
I want to go back to the framework of how you look at things. I mean, what's exploding on the campus is 50 years of teaching Howard Zinn. And the reason you even wrote the Patriots History, the original blockbuster, and now you've broadened out to the Patriots History of Globalism, but you still have the same framework of looking through it in the values of the Judeo-Christian West. Howard Zinn was the radical that wrote that book that's still taught in high schools everywhere. You were a counter to that. In fact, this is what inspired you to write the book. The framework's still in the Patriots History of Globalism. It's rise and decline.
Right.
But you bring up the point about these revolutions. The issue is never the issue.
Correct.
The issue is always the revolution. By the way, and I just disagree with one thing. Their goal is not the destruction of Israel. That is one of their early goals. Their early goals are the destruction of Israel, the eradication of Jerusalem, the eradication of Jews, and then the destruction of the United States of America, and quite frankly, the destruction and eradication of American citizens. Dr. Schweikart, your thoughts?
No, you're absolutely right, and in fact, that's exactly what I said in my Substack article of last week on New Wine. But Abby Hoffman and Jerry Rubin wanted to bring down the whole campus institution, and what they failed to realize. And again, these guys are not always omnipotent; they don't always get what's always going on. Their institutions that they were already seeking to bring down were on a trajectory to inject leftism and Marxism all across the country. There's hardly a university today, maybe a Hillsdale, maybe a Grove City College, that aren't totally dominated by Marxists. And as a result, all these demonstrations are doing is pitting one group of liberals against a far more radical group of liberals. So to me, it's a win-win.
Go back to that. People will say, gosh, I thought these faculties were liberal or these professors were liberals. Talk about liberals. You just said they're Marxist or neo-Marxist. What do you mean about that? Because I think this is catching a lot of people by surprise. They think of the protests in '68 and the hippies, and some of these professors were starting to espouse things that, anti-Vietnam War and liberal policies. This is far different, is it not?
Yes, this is about the total Marxist goal, which is an end to all distinctions within society, all sexes, all races, all differentiations between people and based on talent. Marx wanted to eradicate all of that in view of some sort of ridiculous, unattainable utopia in which there are no differences among people. But to do that, you basically have to kill almost everybody, because there's always going to be these differences. So these professors who say they are liberals really are Marxists, even when they may not admit it to themselves. They believe in the labor theory of value. They believe in class struggle. They believe in victimization, all that kind of stuff. So it kind of doesn't matter what they say themselves. What you have to do is look at their actions, and their actions are that they've turned the universities into these Marxist pig pens.
Talk about universities. Let me play this clip from magnificent, I believe it's UCLA yesterday. Let's go ahead and watch it.
Sure.
Yeah. If you're praying, go up there, but if you're not, the rest doesn't feel like my home. No, I'm talking to somebody else. We're trying not to use I'm outside. I'm outside. I'm back inside. Ahmed went inside, but he's trying to do it. He told me to stay outside.
Dr. Schweikart, that's American Kids on what, near Pauley Pavilion, the great UCLA Bruin dynasty under John Wooden. That's American kids in the 21st century bowing for Islamic prayer. Your thoughts, sir?
Well, I'm surprised it hasn't happened earlier. When I was at the University of Dayton in the early 2010s, they were already discussing having foot baths placed for Muslim students. This was a supposedly conservative Catholic university that was making no attempt whatsoever to proselytize these same students, which theoretically would have been the very mission of that university. So for a secular university, I'm not surprised at all. The globalists under Soros have thoroughly infiltrated and temporarily co-opted and controlled the Islamic movement for their own purposes. And what people don't understand is that other elements of the Soros movement, such as the trans and homosexual movement, those people will be dead under Islam. They're not going to live 5 minutes. I don't know why it's so hard for them to understand that, but apparently they have difficulty with truth.
No, they hate America. They've been told to hate the traditional values of America more. One last thing I want to get to, and we're going to start having you back on now that you've done your convention run on a more weekly basis. But the subtitle to the book, a lot of people ask me, they go, hey, Steve, about Dr. Schweikart, the decline part, because a lot of people in their lives today, they still see globalization as ascendant. When you talk about the decline, just give me a minute or two of the intellectual structure you put in to determine that you believe we've hit peak globalization.
Well, you can go issue by issue, whether it's the vax and 82% of Americans took the first vax, only 50% took a second one, only 1 or 2% now say they'll ever take another one. You're starting to see the vax lawsuits. I've seen more in the Epic Times day by day coming out against big pharma. These are now progressing through the courts. It'll take time. We're turning the Titanic here, but the Titanic is turning. Whether it's the Supreme Court, virtually everybody thinks the Supreme Court's going to overthrow the Chevron doctrine in the fall, which would be a major blow to the deep state. Whether it's elections in Europe, we've seen Italy, we've seen Portugal, we've seen Hungary, we've seen Slovakia, we've seen in Latin America, Argentina. All these elections are going against the globalists. And of course, in November, a big election is going to go against them. I'm convinced Trump, as of today, would win with 312 electoral votes, and maybe by election time it might be as high as 340 and a popular vote majority, because these guys are on their heels and they know it. And as for the Senate, Steve, we're going to come out at worst at 50-50 because we're going to win West Virginia. That's not even in question. Probably Larry Hogan is going to win in Maryland, and he's kind of a rhino, but he is a Republican who would probably vote for the judges, and of course we'd have the vice president. So I think we'll get the Senate, and I do believe we're going to expand very slightly the margin in the House by, say, 5 to 10 seats.
Oh, I think Ohio, Montana, Arizona, I think the Senate could be up to 55 if things cut right for us. This is why I think the donors are sitting there going, why do we need Trump? Trump brings MAGA, and they think MAGA is deal baggage right now. You take the Senate, you take the House, you pick up a couple of seats because of the redistricting and other fight. You hold those couple of those New York seats. They've got the globalists that hide behind the Republican Party got a plan here, and we got to be on the warpath about that.
Yeah,
Dr. Schweikart, where do people go? You've just done conventions. I want to make sure people get your travel schedule. The book's unbelievable. I am a huge aficionado of the Patriots history. We used to have Dr. Schweikart on Breitbart Radio all the time when we were there, and he came out with the book. It is reframed the thinking about the history of this country. About globalization, you reframe the conversation about that. Where do they go to get all your content? Where do they go to get the book? And if you put up your travel schedule, I know people come to me and say, where can I see this guy live?
It's all on wildworldofhistory.com, my travel schedule, convention schedule. But here's something. If you go on the Wild World of History and you sign up for the newsletter, give us your email, we will send you a free PDF copy of the updated 20th anniversary edition of Patriots History of the United States, which includes a brand new chapter from 2018 to 2023. So you'll want to get that. And if you want to get more of my political commentary, go over to the Wild World of Politics, where I weigh in 3 times a week with Larry's commentary. You can get all those schedules and, of course, the book, Patriots History of Globalism. We have special offers right now on the website. It's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, everywhere that great books are sold.
Dr. Schweikart, thank you so much. Honored to have you on here.
Thanks, Steve.
Incredible book. So on... we're going to be back tomorrow morning. Lou Dobbs is going to follow us. We're going to be back tomorrow morning. Obviously, this thing on the motion of vacate's blown up. What's blowing up about it is this whole thing about a criminal conspiracy against President Trump. We want people to basically dial in. We're going to be putting out a lot more detail. There'll be a lot more tapes coming out, all of it, and thinking about this motion to vacate. But the motion to vacate also has to be inextricably linked with what's going on these college campuses about to explode into the street. This is a Marxist, Sharia supremacist revolution in this country. We've warned you about it. We told you this is going to metastasize. It's just not simply going to go away. You can't wish this away. It has to be dealt with. And right now we have many, many leaders in the country that just want to look the other way or just confine this about Israel and about the Jews. It's much broader than that. That's their first stop, and people have to engage, I believe, strongly at that level. Is it a time of turbulence? Yes. You can see what's going on the campus. This is not going to go away. The invasion of the southern border, all of it. You're in the fight for all of it. Now you've got really the kinetic part of the Third World War. It is a fourth turning. It's one of the reasons we partnered with Birch Gold to make sure that you had a place that you could go talk to sophisticated people about precious metals as a hedge for your financial stability. Remember, this is all about creating your own, how do I say this, still point in a turning world. Because you're in the fight now to save your country. You're in a historic fight, and you're the tip of the spear of that. So go to birchgold.com/war room. Make sure that you've got all acts. By the way, I think it's Bannon/Bannon. Make sure you get the End of the Dollar Empire. All 5 free pieces, the installments, are detailed, researched. Get it today. Read it today. Talk to Philip Patrick and the team. Philip's going to be with us on Saturday, as he normally is. He's back from his travels. But also, in addition, things like Jace Medical. All these power outages and all the cyber attacks and everything. Oh, you can't get medicine. There's a story the other day of a guy can't get chemotherapy. Get ahead. Jace Medical built their system, built their entire business about this. You've got access to it. Go to jacemedical.com. Talk to Dr. Sean and the team, the professionals, about how you get packages of the drugs you need, of access to what you need, and get it today. The same with Home Title Lock. Under no circumstances can you have one of these cyber bandits coupled with AI to get into your home title and take out a second mortgage at these interest rates. It would take you off the playing field. HomeTitleLock.com. Go check it out today. Okay, Lou Dobbs, the great Lou Dobbs is next. We're back here tomorrow morning, 10 a.m.